Hi Shubham. So let's get started. So can you tell us about how your journey at KGP helped you choose a career path which is unorthodox to your profile? Like you're from computer science background, right? You chose to
Yeah.
move to consulting as your first job.
hmm
So can you just tell us uh, what factors did you consider to take that as your first job?
Yeah. I think there was a lot of serendipity, to be honest. And I think a lot of things just fell in place. And I was not looking at consulting, but I experimented and I got the offer. But I think a lot of things which helped in the way, which kind of led to this decision was I think I was part of the business club, which I think is, kind of made me curious about businesses, about case competitions, and it was an interesting pathway to actually even understand, okay, like how to do case study interviews for consulting preparations. And when I did those case interviews, I kind of really enjoyed the process of and at the logical build towards finding business problems. And the other thing on the other aspect that, as you said, that I'm a computer science grad, so I did a lot of technical internships, and I
Hmm.
think by the end of every internship I felt like, okay, I can do this for 2 3 months, but I don't know if I can do it for like a year or a year and a half.
Hmm.
And hence, I think I was always not super sure about if I want to do software engineering as a full-time thing. I think those kind of things kind of played a significant role. And once uh, I was lucky to get an offer from McKinsey, I talked to a lot of seniors and everyone, and I think eventually I felt like if I want to move towards a business side eventually, like even if I would have gone and done a software engineering job, I might have done an MBA from India or from US.
Hmm.
And if that's the case, then it's probably better to just take the consulting route and actually build some business acumen before shifting to like the MBA path or to investing or to like any other part of the world.
That's nice. That's nice. Great. So once you moved into consulting, then I think you very quickly switched to investment banking, right? So at what point, like, did you think like consulting is, I don't want to do this for life. I just want to right now move ahead. And why did you choose
Yeah,
investment banking? If that is the,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and just to clarify that, I think it is not investment banking, but I kind of joined a private equity slash venture capital firm,
Hmm.
where so basically the difference between investment banking is that investment banking is probably the middleman in between like broking deals and like getting the especially large companies the investment from like a PE or VC fund.
Hmm.
So I was in Westbridge Capital, and I think the move happened fast because mostly because I feel like uh, Westpage was looking to hire someone immediately. So what happens is that at least during my time was uh, a lot of the VC firms would hire while you are doing a consulting role, and they would hire and give the offer to join a year later. They
Oh.
would like say that, okay, we are hiring at the end of your first year, but we'd want you to come by the end of your second year, like do your 2 years of consulting and then come to us.
Hmm. Hmm.
But in case of Westbridge, it was slightly early, so I was already in the process for all these funds. And to be honest, I think I really enjoyed my consulting career, but I was looking for something to do slightly more on a macro basis and look at things from a more wider angle, and also work with uh, various different companies at the same period of time rather than doing one project at one in a short period of in for like 4 5 months or 6 months.
Hmm.
I think it has both has different flavors to it. But I felt like maybe investing would be something which I'll enjoy more. Hence thought that, okay, like eventually I think a lot of, I would, let's say, 30 to 40% of my McKinsey cohort joined investing roles, and everyone was interviewing for different funds.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I think in Westbridge, they wanted someone to join early, so hence I took that leap of faith and joined Westbridge early. And I think it was a great decision. And I learned a lot at McKinsey. I learned a lot at Westbridge, and it was, it gave me a great career platform.
That's nice. Can you just tell us a bit about like what kind of work happens at Westbridge? What was your role?
Yeah.
Like, what exactly were you doing?
Yeah, I would divide my job at Westbridge into like maybe three parts. One is more on new diligences. So like when you, like, let's say, there's a company which wants to raise money.
Hmm.
We will evaluate the business. We'll understand, okay, what is happening, and what are the key metrics which kind of makes it a good investment, and what are the key risks in our mind, and hence, make, like, lay them out, do a lot of diligence on how big can the market be, how are the financials doing, a little bit about the founding team, etc., that, what is their background, and, like, get some reference checks there. And so that's the whole process, and so that's the new diligence part, and then, like, basically take a call whether we want to invest in it or not. The second part is kind of more portfolio work, which is, we have already invested in the company, but, the company is looking to build some strategy around something, or, is trying to enter a new category. So we kind of help them with a little bit of research work, or, work with them on, hiring processes, like, getting them the right CEO, not the CEO, but we're getting them the right CXO suites, like
Hmm.
whether it be a new CFO, or whether it be a new CTO, or maybe some, like, senior roles. So a lot of venture funds have these people who help them hire. The third part, I would say, would be on the more thesis building slash sourcing part of things, where we are kind of like meeting new founders at an earlier stage, or, just meeting uh, people from the community, from the venture capital community, and trying to understand, okay, like, what's the new thing getting built, and where are people, like, finding things to invest, and, what are the new technologies which are getting created, or new business models, and hence, that is maybe the third part of the job. So I think this, I would say, is how I would summarize the job.
That's nice. So I always had a question like, what is the difference between VC and PE? I think your firm was a VC firm, right?
So Vespage is kind of flexible. So I would say
Okay.
So how Vespage is categorized is like a crossover fund, which basically means that they invest both in public markets, in the sense that in stocks, uh, was also, and but also invest in startups. And the difference between VC and PE is that VC is kind of taking the early stage bet. It is investing in, let's say, seed and Series A, and even pre-seed, all of those kind of roles,
Hmm.
all of those kind of rounds. Versus PE is kind of taking bets on mature companies which are a certain size and scale, and usually VC deals will not involve a lot of debt. Like, of course, there are new venture funds which have debt financing as well,
Hmm.
but a lot of the VC deals do not have any debt component, versus PE deals primarily have a debt component, because that's how, like, once you pay down debt, you kind of have a larger ownership, and, or, like, the returns work in that way that you take debt to finance the deal, but you still have the equity ownership, and once the debt burden goes down, you kind of create a lot of debt returns for yourself,
Hmm.
and hence that's how, like, the PE deal is kind of
Structured.
structured.
Hmm.
So I think that is how I would say the key difference is. The kind of diligence also is slightly different. Like, a PE deal will actually go into the business quite a bit. There'll be, because it's a large business, there's a lot of data points to actually diligence on,
Hmm.
versus VC is kind of taking more earlier stage bet. So there's less points to, like, diligence on, like, in terms of the business particularly, but there's more points on, like, the market size, etc. And a lot of times the market is not even created, right? For example, like, people who invest in Zoom, there were no video conferencing at that point in time. So
Hmm.
then you have to imagine, and, kind of like work towards, like, building a market size from bottoms up perspective. So I think that is how I would like differentiate between the two.
That's very interesting. What point in your career did you think that you would definitely do an MBA? Like, was it had you made up your mind during KGP itself, or during your career you felt like now it's necessary?
I think for me it was maybe during Westbridge. I saw a lot of people, and of course, all the partners, etc., had done MBAs from different schools, either an IIM or schools abroad.
Hmm.
And I felt that I think it definitely helps you create a network for life, and also helps you like just create some really strong perspectives from like different parts, especially if you do a global MBA, different perspectives from like different parts of the world, which is kind of super exciting. And these things, and everyone who comes from an MBA is coming from like a great work experience, etc. So, and all of them hopefully will do great things. So you kind of have like, it's basically you want to be surrounded by the best in class people.
Hmm.
And I think MBA gives that opportunity to be in that zone, to have different perspectives and get best in class people from different backgrounds.
So you wanted to progress your career in VC. Uh, is that correct? Like, what is your end goal?
So yeah, I think at least for now, I want to continue in the investing route, and I will join an investment firm after my HBS MBA as well. But yeah, I think for now that is the goal. But I think MBA has also given me a slight bit of motivation to maybe start something of my own in the future, or like how to navigate the journey, the career going forward. And I think those are things which are great skills which I've kind of picked up during my MBA here, and hopefully I can build on top of it.
That's nice. Um, so coming to once you decided that you want an MBA, you applied to many schools. But just in the interest of time, just tell us how your Harvard process was, and just
Yeah.
from scratch, like from GMAT or GRE, whatever you have given to applications. Yeah.
Yeah, I started with GMAT in prep, where basically I took some tuition classes for GMAT,
Hmm.
and it took about just 3 months for the tuition. But because of work, I could not give enough practice time, so I took my GMAT after 6 months of once my tuition ended.
Hmm.
And then once that happened, then I started giving GMAT tests, etc.
Hmm.
So finally, I got a good score, and I was able to like, uh, then I started working on my applications. So actually, I started working on my applications along with giving GMAT because I was running short on time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so for Harvard, particularly, at that point, I think the process has changed a little bit now. But at that time, there was only one essay required, and that was a very generic prompt on, like, tell us something which we should know about you,
Yeah.
which was mostly people would write about their life story through through a certain perspective, or through a certain narrative.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think that was the process. And then you need two recommendation letters. So I took one from McKinsey and one from Westbridge.
Hmm.
And I think apart from that, there was nothing else particularly. There's this application form which you just need to fill. So you just need to submit your GMAT scores, your essay, and your two recommendation letters, and you need to fill the application form. And then once that happens, you get an interview call, and the interview is for 30 minutes. You can schedule the interview, and some people do it in person. I did it in on Zoom,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I felt like it. I don't really see a major difference. Some people prefer in person, some people prefer Zoom. So I took the Zoom interview, and yeah, and I think I was again like lucky to get the opportunity to attend Harvard Business School, and that's how that was like the process.
That's nice. So, can you just tell us a bit more of what kind of profiles do they look for? And like, of course, it's very tough to get in. What part of your portfolio, or like how did you crack the uh, seat at Harvard? You can just tell us a bit so that we'll benefit from that.
Yeah, I wish I could really give you a clear cut answer here. To be honest, I think it's super difficult to say that what does Harvard look for. I think any MBA school, whether it be Harvard or anyone else, I think uh, they have various different profiles, from like people who have done investing to consult to just consulting to, let's say, technology, to like people who are doing, like, say, arts or entrepreneurship. So it's a very wide variety.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not say that there is a particular thing which helps you. I think what what really helped me was that maybe uh, my consistency towards use of technology in different forms of life. So I think my story was about like how technology has helped my dad improve his business, and
Hmm.
then how I did computer science, and then even at McKinsey I was doing digital transformations, and at Westbridge I was doing a lot of technology investing, and that, like, maybe that consistent theme was
Hmm.
something which helped. But to be honest, I don't know what made me, help clear those interviews, or clear or get that interview invite itself. I think a lot depends on. There's a lot of different factors on how good was your undergrad GPA, how good was your GMAT, how good was your work experience, and nothing has to be like stellar. Like, I think there are people who have like CGPAs from like around 8, but there are also people who have CGPAs around 10. But then there are people who have GMAT scores of 710, and
Hmm.
there's GMAT scores of 790. So it's a very wide range. So I don't think there is one particular thing which helps you crack Harvard particularly, or for matter any other business school. I think what matters is that, I think in my mind, what matters is that how good is your story, and is it different from most other people, so that you bring a unique perspective. And the second is, are your recommenders telling the thing which you wanted to convey, right, or something different? Like, basically, whatever you are saying that, okay, these are your achievements, or these are your values, etc.,
Hmm.
are your recommendation letters also saying the same thing? Because there's no other way to verify for them, right? So I think those are the two things in my mind which really helps you, like, put a very, very strong case in front of any admission school.
That's nice. Also, can you tell us a bit more on how the interview process went uh, for
Yeah.
Harvard?
So the interview process is a 30-minute interview. It's a very fast-paced interview. So you get about 20-25 questions in that 30 minutes.
Whoa.
So basically you have to be very sharp. You only like answer in 1 minute or 1.5 minute answers.
Hmm.
And it will mostly be, for me it was mostly work related, but everyone has different experiences. So yeah, I think it was basically, you have to just know really well about whatever things you have worked on, and kind of look at it from a more holistic point of view, so that you can help the interviewer understand that part.
That's nice. That's nice. So, how many schools did you apply to, and how many did you get in?
I applied to 4 schools, and I only got into Harvard Business School. I got waitlisted in Booth and Wharton. And for Stanford, I got an interview invite, but I could not convert it to an admit. But yeah, I think in hindsight, I think it was a great outcome. It did not I did not have to decide between any of the
Yeah.
schools. I had just one option,
Mm-hmm.
so which was great. But yeah, I think I applied to 4 schools mostly because I was running short on time and could
Mm-hmm.
not apply to others. And then Harvard and Stanford were my top two
Choices.
targets, I
Yeah.
would say. So once I got Harvard, and I was like, okay, great, I don't need to apply to other schools.
That's nice. So, you mentioned you also gave interview for Stanford. So, how was that different from your Harvard interview?
I think Harvard was a lot focused on work only, and it was like and was taken by the admission committee,
Hmm.
versus Stanford interviews are usually taken by alumni. And Stanford focuses on the job aspect, but I would say it is half and half. I would say half of the perspective is also on like why do you want to do MBA, why do you want to go to Stanford, those kind of questions,
Hmm.
versus those kind of questions are usually not asked in Harvard Business School interviews. Um, it's more about your work and what you have learned during your work kind of situation, which Stanford also asks, but less time spent on it. Plus, Stanford interviews can go on for an hour, hour and a half, like depends on the interviewer,
Hmm.
versus how business school is very, very structured, like half an hour, 20, 25 questions, and like you're out. Versus
Hmm.
Stanford can be like you can give even like 2 minute answers or 3 minute answers, and depends on how well you you know are vibing with your interviewer, so
Hmm.
that the interview can go for really long, also can be really short also. I think it can be anywhere in the middle.
That's very helpful. Can you just share us a bit of your experience at Harvard, like what all you have done? How was your internship process? How was it different from our college back in India, IIT Kharagpur? How just take us through your experience.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to really say this experience in a short few sentences.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
feel also I feel like I'm just graduating, so I haven't really absorbed all of it. But I think it was definitely great in the sense that once, since you're coming at a more mature age, you kind of know what things you like, what things you don't like. So you kind of immerse yourself accordingly. You make a lot of friends very very in a very short amount of time. Like MBA is a lot of network. I would not say networking, but getting to know a lot of different people at the same amount of time, at the same time.
Hmm.
So it's kind of overwhelming in the beginning, but you kind of set your pace, you find your people, and you spend a lot of time with those particular core group of people. You travel a lot, especially in global MBAs, which is great. And I think even HBS has like programs which are structured travel also, like travel as a part of coursework,
Hmm.
which kind of helps you build different perspectives on businesses across the world, which I think I really enjoyed. Um, and overall, I would say the hiring things of whether it be internship or like full time is very different from, let's say, an Indian university, because in the university usually companies come onto the campus.
Hmm.
There are like particular hiring days, etc. Versus here, it's not the case. Here, you kind of just cold outreach, and I think network with people, and you kind of find that job. And you talk to people, you build a relationship, then you start giving interviews, and once those interviews can like are good enough, you kind of convert that. So it's very different from that perspective too. Like on India, I think it's a lot of things are like kind of given to you in the platter, and you have to just make sure that you make the most of that. Versus here, you have to really spend time networking, reaching out to people, cold emailing, all of that, which is which I think really build a lot of resilience, but also kind of is a really really tiresome process. And it kind of builds a lot of serendipity, because you don't know whom will you connect with, who will reply to your email or not. Like sometimes like people just don't reply to your email because they're busy. It's not that
Hmm.
they don't like you, but they're just busy.
Hmm.
So I think those kind of things really are very different here.
Okay, that's nice. Like in the current situation in US, like there's a lot of deportation and all we're hearing. Is there something to be worried about for applying or going to US right now, or like what is the scene there?
To be honest, it's very difficult for me to say. At least anyone in my known circle has not had any issues. But it's an evolving situation. So I don't want to really say anything, because I think it doesn't really, like, I don't know where this will go. Of course, people are confused and people are tensed, but hopefully nothing happens. And again, and this is a cycle, like every administration has a different view to these kind of things. So we don't like, it's very difficult to say what is there for long term and what is not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, people are confused and people are scared for right now. But nothing of major concern has happened yet. So hopefully, things are normal and are peaceful.
Okay. So once you graduate, I think you have a fixed amount of time before which you need to get a job, right? Do
Correct.
you think it's since it's not as simple as our university colleges where the companies come, is it risky to take this? Like, if you what if you don't get a job, then you'll be deported, right? Is that something to be concerned about, or if you have a good MBA from a good college, then your job is sorted.
See, a job, I don't think in this, I think the current economy is also such that there's no job is sorted kind of argument.
Hmm.
And everyone wants to do a good job, like wants to do a job which they will like.
Hmm. Hmm.
So while I'm sure that, people who are looking for jobs can get any job at HPS, and at least if they want, they can do kind of a job which they do not like
Hmm. Hmm.
for a certain period of time. But I think those are last resort measures. But yeah, I think it's definitely risky to do things, but I think a lot of it happens once, like, hopefully everyone will get a job whoever wants a job here. People are still recruiting, but if they really want to stay back here, I think there are a lot of like campus jobs, or jobs which they may not like, at least for the temporary thing, but they can do a temporary job and stay in the country, and then while they are doing the temporary job, look for other jobs and interview and convert something full time. So there are optionalities from that perspective, but yeah, it's of course a very very stressful situation.
Understood. So you're saying like it's you can get some job, but getting the job which you like might take some effort, and it not might not be straightforward.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
definitely makes sense. So like everybody talks about like Harvard being the best business school. So how was your experience in terms of the faculty and how they're different from other business schools? Um,
Yeah, to be honest, I can't really say for other business schools because I never
because yeah.
went there.
Hmm.
So, but I would say the faculty here are definitely very, very supportive. I think the biggest difference which I saw from undergrad versus this is that faculties really take a lot of interest in your career, take a lot of interest in, and they actually take out a lot of time from their personal time to like talk to you one on one, or like get to know you kind of situation, which I think I really appreciated. And of course, all the professors here are like the best in their particular field, and they have done research there, they have done a lot of business, they have trained a lot of business leaders in that particular subject, which I think is really great to learn from. And yeah, they have always been super exciting to know them and to grow with them.
That's nice. That's nice. That's great. Finally, like, do you have some advice for your juniors who are going to apply to MBA, and in terms of maybe profile or like how they should approach this?
I think my advice is that whatever job you are doing, try to take impactful projects. You might have a busy life, but I think those are the things which you learn from. And finally, in your application, be as authentic as possible. Try to bring a unique perspective, which I think others around you will appreciate. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I think those are three things which I would say people should focus on.
Okay, that's great, Shubham. Thanks a lot